Hello, Pete's Packs here, and we are back with the LCI Commander decks, Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So there should be 4 decks for this. Let's see what in all's in here. Alright. So 4 decks in here. I have not looked at these yet. So we have Grixis Ahoy Mateys, Orzhov Blood Rights, Explorers of the Deep, and Veloci-Ramp-Tor. Like Velociraptor, but ramp. Alright, so I guess we will start with dinosaurs. So Naya Veloci-Ramp-Tor. It's off to the side. Oop. Let's see. Red, green, white Veloci-Ramp-Tor. Play extra lands, Dino Devastation. Alright. A nice, easy open box on the bottom. Alright, you put a finger pull, then block the finger pull with the deck. Way to go. An envelope has our deck box and a collector booster sample pack. We will do all 16 of these in their own video. We have nice themed fold up deck box. Oh, unthemed life counter. This is the older style tuck box, so they seem to have gone back on those a little bit. Okay. Then in here, I don't see a die. Little sad. We've got 6 tokens on the back here, or 6 counters on the back. Oh. That's it. You just get the 6 counters. Okay, so they've cut back on that too. Well, that's a little sad. Okay. Well, we knew they were cutting costs on some of these newer things. Still a little sad to see them go from like 12, 16 tokens, something like that, to 6, like, counters. And the paper is a lot thinner. But it is what it is. Inflation and all that good stuff. Alright, we have our insert. Veloci-Ramp-Tor. So we've got a nice bit of art for our lead commander. Blurb on playing the deck, rules for commander. We have on the backside a little bio, alternate art for the commander, and some ads over here. This is Pantlaza, Sun Favored, which we saw in our art cards during the set boxes. I think we actually pulled 1 or 2. Okay, so open the quick pull here. seems to be slightly misplaced. So the bottom part is cut, but the top one isn't. Okay. And of course we will pull in so we can actually see the cards. And refocus. Okay, starting things off, we have a foil Pantlaza, Sun Favored, 2 red, green, white for 4/4 legendary dinosaur. Whenever it or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you may discover X, where X is the creature's toughness. Do this only once each turn. And discover as exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card with mana value or with that mana value or less. Cast it without paying its mana cost or put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Okay. We have Weta, Trainer Prodigy. Red, green, white for a 1/5 legendary human warrior with haste. 2 and a green, tap. Target creature you control fights another target creature. This ability costs 2 less to activate if it targets 2 creatures you control. So you can have it fight your own creature. That's interesting. If a creature you control being dealt damage causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Alright, that's cool. Bellowing Aegisaur, 5 and white for 3/5 dinosaur with enrage. I believe this is from the original Ixalan. Whenever Bellowing Aegisaur is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Generous Gift, 2 and a white, instant, destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. Oh. Majestic Heliopterus, 3 and a white for 2/2 dinosaur with flying. Whenever it attacks, another target dinosaur you control gains flying until end of turn. Path to Exile, the second best piece of white removal ever printed. But for a white, you get an instant, exile target creature. Its controller may search the library for a basic land. Put that card into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Earthshaker Dreadmaw, 4 green green for a 6/6 dinosaur with trample. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each other dinosaur you control. Just a strictly better Colossal Dreadmaw. Ixali's Lorekeeper, or Ixali's Lorekeeper. A friend of mine informed me that it's supposed to be Ixali. For green, you get a 1/1 human druid. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend it only to cast dinosaur spells or to activate the ability of a dinosaur. Thrashing Brontodon, 1 green green for 3/4 dinosaur. 1, sacrifice it. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. A all-star in most metas where it's legal. A Tempek Huntmaster, 1 in a red for a 1/2 human shaman. Dinosaur spells cost 1 less to cast. Tap, target dinosaur gains haste until end of turn. I'm not sure why they didn't just reprint this in the newest set, or in LCI. It's Quinth, Firstborn of Gishath. Red green for a 2/3 legendary dinosaur with haste. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. When you do, target dinosaur you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. Cultivate, 2 and a green, sorcery. Search a library for up to 2 basic lands. Reveal them. Put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle. Drover of the Mighty, 1 and a green for a 1/1 human druid. It gets +2/+2 as long as you control a dinosaur. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Farseek, 1 and a green. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card and put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Keep in mind this hits triomes, this hits duels. This is a good way to go and get those. Migration Path, 3 and a green, sorcery. Search a library for up to 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. It has cycling for 2. One of the best versions of this. Rampant Growth, the classic ramp spell. Also where we get the term ramp from. 1 and a green, sorcery. Search your library for a basic land. Put that card onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Ranging Raptors. It is a repeatable rampant growth. 2 and a green for a 2/3 creature dinosaur with enrage. Whenever it is dealt damage, you may search your library for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Savage Stomp. 2 and a green, sorcery. +2 less to cast if it targets a dinosaur you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then that creature fights target creature you don't control. Thunderherd Migration. 1 and a green, sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, reveal a dinosaur from your hand or pay 1. So it's either 1 and a green or 2 and a green, depending on whether or not you reveal a dinosaur. Search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. This is just a strictly worse rampant growth. Huh. Strange. Thundering Spineback. 5 green for a 5/5 dinosaur. Other dinosaurs you control get +1/+1. 5 and a green, create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. Atsakan Seer. 1 green and white for a 2/3 human druid. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, sacrifice it, return target dinosaur card from your graveyard to your hand. Raging Regisaur. 2 green red for a 4/4 dinosaur. Whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to any target. It's a good way to trigger your enraged. Raging Swordtooth. 3 red and a green for a 5/5 dinosaur with trample. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each other creature. Again, great way to trigger enrage. Rhythm of the Wild. 1 red-green enchantment. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Non-token creatures you control have riot. They enter the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. Arcane Signet, we all know what this does by now, but 2 mana artifact, taps for your commander's color identity. Soul Ring, same thing, 1 mana artifact, taps for 2. Command Tower, taps for your commander's color identity. Evolving Wilds, tap and sack, search for a basic, put into play tapped, then shuffle. Jungle Shrine, enters tapped, taps for Naya. Myriad Landscape, comes in tapped, taps for colorless, 2 tap and sacrifice it, search for up to 2 basic lands that share a type, put them on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Kind of ramps you. Bronzebeak Foragers, 3 and a white for 3/4 dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until Bronzebeak Foragers leaves the battlefield. Let's see, X and a white, put target creature or put target card with mana value X exiled with Bronzebeak Foragers into its owner's graveyard. You gain X life. From the Rubble, 4 white enchantment. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature of the chosen type from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Creature with a finality counter would die. Exile it instead. Wrathful Raptors. 4 and a red for a 5/5 dinosaur. Trample. Whenever a dinosaur you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target that isn't a dinosaur. It's a good way to chain off of enrage. Curious Altasaur. 3 and a green for a 2/5 dinosaur with vigilance and reach. Whenever a dinosaur you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Dinosaur Egg. 1 and a green for a 0/3 dinosaur egg. Excuse me. With Evolve, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. When dinosaur egg dies, you may discover X, where X is its toughness. So it almost always trades up. Scion of Calamity. 3 green for a 5/5 dinosaur with Myriad. Whenever this creature attacks for each opponent other than the defending player, you may create a token that's a copy of this creature that's tapped on attacking that player or planeswalker they control. So the tokens at the end of combat. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. Well, that's pretty neat. Sunfrill Imitator. 2 and a green for a 3/3 dinosaur. Whenever it attacks, you may have it become a copy of another target dinosaur you control, except its name is Sunfrill Imitator and it has this ability. Progenitor's Icon. 3 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, tap, add 1 mana of any color, tap the next spell of the chosen type you cast this turn. Can be cast as though it has flash. Oh, that's cool. So it lets you play your dinosaurs on your opponent's turn. It's kind of strong. Akroma's Will, 3 and a white, instant. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both. Creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn. Creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until end of turn. Oh, that's silly. Kinjali Sunwing, 2 and a white for 2/3 dinosaur with flying. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. This used to be a pretty good stacks piece. Temple Altasaur, 4 and a white for a 3/4 dinosaur. If a source would deal damage to another dinosaur you control, prevent all but one of that damage. That's really good. Okay. Awakening Sun's Avatar, 5 white for a 7/7 dinosaur avatar. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, destroy all non-dinosaur creatures. Very nice. Zatalpa Primal Dawn, 6 white for a 4/8 legendary creature Elder Dinosaur with flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. Don't miss that silly card. Chandra's Ignition, 3 red for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. Vitali Primal Storm, 4 red for a 6/6 legendary creature Elder Dinosaur. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana cost. Fiery Confluence. It's nice to see this get a reprint. 2 red sorcery. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Deal 1 damage to each creature, deal 2 damage to each opponent, or destroy target artifact. Marauding Raptor. 1 and a red. For a dinosaur, creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Marauding Raptor deals 2 damage to it. If a dinosaur is dealt damage this way, Marauding Raptor gets +2/+0 until end of turn. This can get very out of hand very quickly. Especially with things like Polyraptor. In fact, I'm pretty sure this just goes infinite with Polyraptor, but don't exactly remember. Apex Altasaur, 7 green for 10/10 dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Enrage, whenever it is dealt damage, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So that's a fun one. Deathgorge Scavenger, 2 and a green for a 3/2 dinosaur. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile target card from a graveyard. If a creature card is exiled this way, you gain 2 life. If a non-creature card is exiled this way, Deathgorger Scavenger gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Descendant's Path. 2 and a green, enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card that shares a creature type with a creature you control, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast it, put it on the bottom of your library. So a good way to get huge things out for free. Rampaging Brontodon, 5 green for 7/7 creature dinosaur with trample. Whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each land you control. Very easily gets huge very quickly. Regal Behemoth, 4 green for a 5/5 dinosaur with trample. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Whenever you tap a land for mana while you're the monarch, add an additional 1 mana of any color. Return of the Wild Speaker, 4 and a green instant. Choose one. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Ripjaw Raptor, 2 green for a 4/5 dinosaur with Enrage. Whenever it's dealt damage, draw a card. Rishkar's Expertise, 4 green. Sorcery. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So keep in mind that is part of the resolution of this spell, so you draw the cards first, then you determine whether or not you want to cast a spell for 5 or less. Runic Armasaur, 1 green for a 2/5 dinosaur. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card. So that'd be like Wasteland, or the search off of Myriad Landscape, fetches, all kinds of stuff like that. Shifting Ceratops, very nice. 2 green for a 5/4 dinosaur. The spell can't be countered. Protection from blue. Then green, Shifting Ceratops gains your choice of Reach, Trample, or Haste until end of turn. Topiary Stomper. Huh. Well, that would have been an easy way to pick them up. So this is currently standard legal. But 1 green for a 4/4 plant dinosaur with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Topiary Stomper can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands. Verdant Sun's Avatar. 5 green for a 5/5 dinosaur avatar. Whenever it or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Wayward Swordtooth. 2 and a green for a 5/5 dinosaur with Ascend. You control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. It can't attack or block unless you have the city's blessing. Quartzwood Crasher. 2 red for a 6/6 dinosaur beast with trample. Whenever one or more creatures you control with trample deal combat damage to a player, create an XX green dinosaur beast creature token with trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player. Regisaur Alpha. 3 green for a 4/4 dinosaur. Other dinosaurs you control have haste. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. So it puts 7 power into play for 5 mana. Xenagos, God of Revels. 3 red for a 6/5 legendary enchantment creature god. Indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, it isn't a creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste, and it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. Zakama, Primal Calamity. 6 red, green, white for a 9/9 legendary creature Elder Dinosaur. Also keep in mind, this can be your commander if you really want. Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. 2 and a red, it deals 3 damage to target creature. 2 and a green, destroy target artifact or enchantment. 2 and a white, you gain 3 life. Silly, silly card. Lifecrafter's Bestiary. 3 mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. Arch of Orazca. Land, Ascend. Tap for a colorless. 5 and tap, draw a card. Activate only if you have the City's Blessing. Fun thing about this is this is not legendary. So when this was in standard, you could have more than one in play and draw multiple cards. That was a thing. Canopy Vista. It is the Tango duel for green-white. Cinderglade, same for red-green. Clifftop Retreat. Nice to see this get a reprint. It's the not slow land, the buddy land for red-white. Exotic Orchard taps for 1 mana of any color a land your opponent's control could produce. Fortified Village. Enters the battlefield, you may reveal a forest or plains from your hand. If you don't, it enters tapped. It taps for green or white. Furycomb Snarl, same thing but for red-white. Game Trail, same thing but for red-green. Kessig Wolf Run, old fun card. Taps for colorless, X, red-green, tap, target creature gets +X/+O and gains trample until end of turn. That's a fun one. Mosswort Bridge. Land with Hideaway 4. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. Exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Enters tapped. Tap for a green. Green, tap. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater, which is very easy to do with dinosaurs. Path of Ancestry, enters tab, taps for your commander's color identity. If it's spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. Rogue's Passage, tap for colorless, 4, tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Secluded Courtyard, also in standard at the moment. It's just kind of great. Tap for colorless, tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend it only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or activate an ability of a creature source of the chosen type. Symbol of the False God, tap for two colorless, only if you control 5 or more lands. Terramorphic Expanse is the same as Evolving Wilds. Driving Bluff, enters tapped. When it enters, choose a color other than red, taps for red or the other color. Same thing but for green, same thing but for white. That's Thriving Grove and Thriving Heath. Unclaimed Territory, when it enters, choose a creature type. Tap for a colorless, tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend it only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type. Forest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, Plains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mountains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have our extra thick commander card, and some tokens. So you have an elephant that is also a 3/3 dinosaur. Then we have 5 trample dinosaur beasts that are XX. On the back, they are 3/3s with trample. We have 2 copy tokens that are also 3/3s with trample. We have the Monarch, Very nice. It's also a dinosaur, and the city's blessing is also a dinosaur. Then a turn reminder. Scrap of plastic. All right, very nice. Well, thank you for joining me on this adventure with Veloci-Ramp-Tor. I think that's the name of the deck. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.